And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Good afternoon. I'm National Weather Service Meteorologist John Cowen with your Alaska Marine Forecast. Let's start off taking a look at sea ice across the Bering. You can see the ice edge extends almost as far south as the Pribilofs, which is pretty far south for this time of year. However, you do see we have quite a large area of lower concentration ice across the ice pack, so that we do expect that to continue to thin out as we get into the summer. Taking a look at our weather for tonight, we do have a pretty strong low in the Gulf of Alaska, and that's generating a lot of unsettled weather across the northern Gulf Coast and into the Panhandle, although wind speeds generally pretty modest, not a huge threat. Unsettled weather extends into the eastern Aleutians. However, we do have a break in the weather here between our two low pressure centers, so weak high pressure is going to be moving across the area here over the next couple of days. Our next system is going to be this 995 millibar low just south of the western Aleutians, and this is going to be our big weather maker moving into this weekend with some stronger winds, especially on the west side. Getting into Friday, starting to move into the central Aleutians with those stronger winds and unsettled weather. Our low here in the Gulf continues to track north, and then by Saturday we expect the low to pretty much dissipate over the interior. Lingering areas of mixed precipitation for the interior, mostly rain along the immediate coast with some warmer temperatures persisting in the area. Winds generally pretty light across much of the Gulf of Alaska, however starting to tighten up here with the gradient Saturday and especially into Sunday with those stronger winds moving in. However, coming back to Friday for the Panhandle, looking at mostly 15 to 20 knot winds for Friday, seas generally in that 10 to 12 foot range in the offshore areas, 3 to 5 feet for the inshore areas. Same story Saturday with some even lighter winds coming down to about 15 knots and 8 foot seas for the offshore areas, and then around 3 feet for most inshore areas. For Friday, across south central, Cook Inlet and Prince William Sound, we're looking at winds generally around 20 knots or so out of the north to northeast for Cook Inlet. However, pretty much everywhere else, we're looking at south to southeast winds around 25 knots. Seas around 8 to 9 feet in the offshore areas, 6 feet in Prince William Sound. And then by Saturday, winds generally becoming a little bit lighter. Again, southeast winds around 20 to 30 knots, kicking seas up to about 6 feet for the offshore areas, 3 feet in Prince William Sound. And now northerly winds going up Cook Inlet with seas around 3 to 4 feet. Taking a look at the eastern Aleutians for Friday, winds generally about 20 to 25 knots with seas 4 to 7 feet on either side of the island chain. South of Kodiak Island, we're looking at east winds up to 30 knots, kicking seas up to about 6 feet in that area. And then for Saturday, winds again pretty a relatively light 20 to 30 with seas generally 4 to 8 feet. For most areas here, and then going towards the western Aleutians for Friday. Again, our low is going to be south of the island, so we do expect some stronger winds and higher seas in that area. 30 knots or so is what we're expecting. Seas up to about 10 to 12 feet on the Pacific side, 7 to 8 feet on the Bering side. And then getting into Saturday, our low continues to track east. So between Atka and Nikolsky, that'll kind of be our target area for the stronger winds and higher seas up to about 12 feet with 30 knot winds. For Friday, looking at the eastern Bering. Again, most of these areas ice covered. The down to Bristol Bay, though, is open water. We're expecting winds of about 20 to 25 knots, seas 4 feet in that area, 15 to 20 knots on Saturday with fairly low sea state, 2 to 4 feet. And then finally up across the north slope, again, most of these areas ice covered, but those lower concentration areas really are starting to open up. So about 25 to 30 knots across much of the north slope with very little change getting into Saturday. And that'll wrap up our marine forecast. I'm National Weather Service Meteorologist John Cowen. Thanks for joining us.